Okay, so here we are, and this should be a little bit better. Should work more easily. I think it's really important to be able to get a good stream quality. I tried with YouTube and failed miserably. YouTube wouldn't allow me to select my mic. They were really fussy and funny. Probably the worst streaming software I've ever come across in my life. No wonder I've never ever used it. Namaste, welcome back, Anna. Sorry for the delay. I had to go and set up a stream in StreamYard. I'm still using StreamYard. I might change to Streamlabs because StreamYard, they've just been one error after another. They actually double charged me this month, and I'm not getting much luck from the StreamYard team. So I'm like, time to go to another company. I've been spending like, I don't know, £1,000 a year on the streaming software, and you don't really get much in terms of like, assistance. So what are we here to talk about? Shadow. Yeah. I don't know how many people are going to see this stream now. Probably a lot of you will be seeing it retrospectively. But I'm going to be doing a workshop and and a seminar, essentially, for working with the shadow, looking into different techniques, ways in which that we can engage with the shadow and find resolutions that we require in order to become healthier emotionally and psychologically. We're all sort of suffering to some extent the pains of this world. And I think, repression is something that we all do, whether we're aware of it or not. There's a large part of ourselves that we repress. And then there are other parts of ourselves that we willingly suppress as well. And it causes us to become fragmented. It diminishes our sense of personal power. It robs us of our ability to be truly objective. Because hypocrisy, for example, is a reflection of this denial. When we aren't in tune with ourselves, when we aren't being honest, when we aren't being completely authentic within our own space of looking at ourselves, that's when we start to become a little bit disassociated. And there's so much cause for disassociation. I mean, the media that we watch, the television, the films, the advertising, the social networking campaigns that we are all subjected to. And they call it communication. And even this modern form of communication that I think has become really, from my perspective, degenerative. Because we're not generating human experience, we're generating text experience, which really dislocates us from our emotional bodies. And I think working with the shadow self has got a lot to do with uncovering those hidden emotions, coming to terms with those emotions, bringing them to the forefront, and actually facilitating a space where we're able to acknowledge and accept the parts of ourselves that we're either afraid to express, afraid to face, embarrassed or ashamed about, or that we feel hurt by, or the insufficiencies that we've observed within ourselves, that essential sense of helplessness that is somehow a part of the core of all human beings. It's a dilemma of free will, I think, because we all have these vulnerabilities. And we tend to live in denial of our vulnerabilities, which actually, the irony of it is, that's how we become weak. True strength is when we actually acknowledge. Well, I'm really happy to hear that, Anna. Yeah. True strength is when we actually acknowledge our vulnerabilities and look within ourselves and start realizing that there's a source for strength hiding within the vulnerabilities that we're observing. Now my bunny chooses to play. Oh my gosh. He's a cheeky little bugger. Can you hear him, Anna? He's like, I made him a playground of boxes and he's shredding them. I don't know if you guys, is it coming through on the mic? I hope it's not creating too much of a background noise. He's so cute though. So yeah, I think there's this fundamental issue Um, I hope it's not messing up the audio too much. So I think like fundamentally in this world, we're sort of trained to become perfect little consumers. And in this training for consumerism, we're sort of taught to become disassociative by popular media, films, the industries, the media industries that basically have such a powerful effect on our unconscious and shape our thoughts, our belief patterns, and our sense of self is often very much tied to the heroes that we watch in the films and the heroine. And we don't realize how we identify with these characters and how we identify with the strengths that we see in these characters and try and deny the weaknesses in some of the characters that we know are inherent within ourselves. And so I think this shadow work is really a fundamentally important step towards finding the integrity and the wholeness and the emotional and psychological health that can bring us to a state of wellness. And the harmony and the balance obviously is what follows when we start to integrate, because integration brings integrity, and the integrity brings authenticity, and the authenticity causes us not to become too distracted by that little bunny. He's a cute little bugger. He's shredding through that box I gave him. I've always get these Take-A-Lot boxes because I do a lot of online shopping, and so I give the boxes to the bunnies to play with, and they rip them up and they turn them into like little hotels as they run through them and play around in them. But he's quite a funny little guy. He literally rips them up and throws them around all over the floor. But I've had to actually adopt this little bunny, bring him into the house because the other bunnies have attacked him so badly. They've like chewed his face off, and 3 times he's been badly injured. And I was like, no, I'm just going to end up feeling sad. He's going to end up having to go to the vet and get severely injured at some point, or he's going to pass away, or it's just cruelty. So I brought him inside, and so he lives with me inside now, and he was alone. So I brought in his little mistress. So the 2 of them are like set up in here. The other 8 bunnies are in the courtyard, and I can't put him with the others. The others, they seem to be fine with each other. It's just him and some of the males. They just go at each other. It's like ridiculous, and he always ends up on the second best situation. I think they gang up on him. But or he gets into fights with a few of them. He takes after his father. His father was quite a rambunctious little guy. So anyway, I've got these bunnies in the house with me. They're my indoor 2. They are so beautiful. They're pitch black, by the way. Black bunnies, pitch black. Midnight and Petunia. So yeah, the shadow self, and it's interesting. I've got these black bunnies. We're talking about shadow self. The black bunnies, the shadow bunnies are going wild. And I've got the shadow bunnies in the house and the other bunnies outside. Obviously, I can't bring them all in the house, and there's nowhere else I can put him, and I can't leave him alone, so I have to have him. And there has to be 2 of them. They continually dry hump. Bunnies are ridiculous. They're prodigious. They just have to be dry humping all the time, even though they've both been spayed and neutered. They just got to 5-10 times a day. It's what rabbits do. He was very depressed when he didn't have anyone to hump. Rabbits. But yeah, I think this emergence of the necessity for the shadow self is becoming more apparent in this modern age because of the media, because of all of the subtle massaging of the unconscious and the subconscious forces through the media, through the films, and the way that the symbolism is becoming rather directly intense. There's a lot of really gory and psychologically jarring and shaking content. Namaste, welcome. Howard, I hope you're good. I hope you're well. I hope you're having a great, great day. Yes, exactly. The shadow side, being bullied, as I like that. It's a good way of putting it, by the media. And so we tend to have to repress a lot. Like when you're watching a film, all that gory, violent stuff is not really something that we relate to on a truly natural level. we have to repress quite a lot of ourselves in order to be able to endure all of that gore. If you were to take someone who's never watched a TV before and put on like some gory, violent film, they would be quite emotionally affected by that. But we've learned to become numb to the intense stimulation that a lot of these films and media and series and the news and the kind of imagery that they throw in our faces. It's quite horrendous. And so there's this continuous movement towards that's my girlfriend. Oh yeah, just let me tell her I'm live. And there's this continuous movement towards there's this my YouTube. Let me just let her know. Yes, sweetheart. That was my better half calling. There's this continual push towards having to repress great parts of ourselves and hide from the safety of our emotional bodies. And yeah, man, she might pop in just now. I don't know what she's doing right now. She's had a busy day. Like you say, Howard, the pain, it's an important part of life. And we're also being schooled to run away from these things, antidepressants. Everybody's always trying to forget. Nobody wants to linger onto their sadness or their sorrows. And even in the way that social media works, it's become a little bit of a farce. All of these little trigger techniques for communications that are used, these memes. I think that we've become more and more disassociated, hiding behind our keyboards and our texts and our screens, speaking to people less and less, being more programmed by the media. And it's becoming quite a disassociated world. And we can see that the world is slowly but surely becoming more and more disassociated the further we move towards this new way of being, this new, and it seems like, there's definitely, there she is. Namaste, dear Mexico. Blessings to you. Lovely to see you here. I didn't let you know I was coming on live yet because I didn't know I was coming on live. I did a little show for the holistic nurse, and those shows are always really difficult for me. They're weird to do because these guys are going wild, hey? They're doing acrobatics. Two black bunnies. I better go and fetch them. Or one of them. Like, they're playing, they're running around. Let them play, So yeah, I felt I needed to get things off my chest. And I thought to let people know that there's going to be a shadow work discussion. More than a discussion, more like a workshop, more like a seminar that I'm going to be doing. And it's going to give people an opportunity to really engage. To use some tried and tested techniques. Sorry for that. I don't know what happened. I just fell off for some reason. StreamYard. This is what I'm paying for, huh? This is what I'm paying for. So yeah, I think that there's like a need for this. And so sometime the next week, the next 1 to 2 weeks, probably on the weekend, I was thinking maybe the Sunday or maybe the next Sunday would be a good time. But everybody, if you're interested, leave a comment on this video after it's finished, if you don't mind. That way I can actually come and review the comments later with your time zone in it. And if you're interested, and that way I'll actually be able to see who is keen, who is interested, and what kind of time zones people are in, and try and find a time zone. We can have a discussion in the comments actually I can respond and ask what kind of time zones people would like. And so that would probably be a really good way to get a clarity on what time would be best for most people. And if there are a lot of people, I might do two different sessions. Obviously, it's going to be free. I'm not going to be charging. I think shadow work is like a fundamental core thing that we need. It's not a thing just for professional people that are going to like enhance their ESP or their spiritual powers or their psychic abilities, which is a slightly more in-depth topic in itself. But this is something that I think should be accessible to people. Namaste, Isma. I hope you are well. Big love, big blessings. I hope you're all smiling. And yeah, so the shadow is going to be something we're going to be looking at, finding a way to different techniques for bringing it into being, for working with it, using different kind of systems as well, and very nature based. A lot of what I work with is very much core nature. Obviously, being a shaman, I'm drawn to nature, and nature is drawn to me, and I draw nature from myself. So that's really a big thing for me. They don't want us talking about it, Howard. Yeah, you know, that is the thing, isn't it? Yeah, Mexico, sorry. It fell off. It went bing bonk. Diggity dunk dunk. And they don't want us talking about it. They don't want us finding health because obviously there's a lot of money involved in the media. And these media tycoons want to keep us disassociated because that way we keep watching their crap. And they can make money out of us and they can steer society the way they want to steer society. And I think this is a big part of the problem. Namaste, occult examiner. I hope you're feeling well examined and occulted up. We're going to be having a good occult examination. That sounds a bit weird, doesn't it? You almost feel like you need to be naked in the doctor's office. But yeah, I think like the whole thing about shadow work is it's become a little bit of a thing that's often possibly turned into too much of a, I'm going to use this word loosely, in an esoteric way, where it actually can be something that can also be very simple, grounded, and we can engage with it all the time. So there are a lot of different techniques and really simple techniques that can be utilized. For example, the different ways that you can have diaries and the different kinds of diaries that you can have and pocket books and putting notes in your day and how to utilize this in conjunction with the daily review to become very powerful tools that can drive us towards uncovering our emotions. Wow, Esme, that's awesome. Could you put all of your time zones and everything in the chat afterwards, because then I can respond after the session is done, because then it will be stored in the actual chat messages. There's two different message systems. Don't ask me why they're complicated like that, but they do. So this would be the live chat, and then there'll actually be comments. So if it's in the comments after the live chat, then I'll be able to respond to it, and we'll be able to have a conversation there about times, like which people fit what times better, and be able to actually maybe try and coordinate it quite well. But yeah, yeah, exactly. Well done, Mexico. That's pretty much what I'm trying to say. I think you put the words beautifully. It's romanticized in a very sort of esoteric sort of way, and actually, it's just simple hard work, like digging in the soil with a spade, you know, to make garden beds for flowers. And there's a very practical system of engagements. There are also esoteric and occult techniques that can be quite useful, which are very romanticized. But I always believe in giving a rounded perspective, taking a rounded approach, and trying to put everything into some kind of a conscientious perspective where we are looking at what we can do throughout the day, what we can do in our dream time, what we can do in our mornings, and having a consistent practice. And then again, as well, when we start engaging with our shadow, emotional currents that were forgotten or not conscious, we're not conscious of, will start to rise into awareness. So there are safeguards as well. And having the safeguards in place can ensure that we have a balanced disposition towards the development. And I think this is something that isn't really taught. For example, people work with chakras, right? And most people think that they have to activate their sasra chakra, right? The sasra chakra is the crown chakra. And actually, you should never work with the crown chakra. Just for example, it's not something you should be doing. One should be working with the lower sixth chakra. Because the Shastra chakra, you open that when you're ready for samadhi, and that's when you're ready to leave your physical body. So it doesn't have any benefits for your health, right? And the detachment that it brings into perspective isn't necessarily healthy for engaging in the real world with one's family and one's friends, and so there are real the crown chakra will react to whatever's going around. But when we work with the Ajna, the Visuddhi, and the Anahata, and the Manipura, and the Svadhisthana, and the Muladhara, then we are basically tuning the energetic system. And the tuning of the energetic system will automatically bring into resonance the Sasra, or the crown chakra. But when we start working with it, there's a danger of becoming disassociated and escapist from reality, which is a lot of new age things you see. So, in the same way, working with the shadow, one has to also think about the roots, the grounding, and how one can optimize the shadow work so that it can become a really positive effect, because there are certain negative effects that will come out when we're working with a shadow, but how to mitigate those and how to work with those and how to contain those and how to generate the positive disposition required, how to bring that Jupiterian jovial disposition into the sphere. Really, really important. Henry, stop it. That little dog is going to try and take all of the paint off that door if I'm not careful. So yeah, I think like this is something which is necessary. We're going to be having a lovely little discussion about this, taking it to the next level, shall we say. And I'm quite excited about this. I've been meaning to do some workshops for a while. I just haven't really gotten down to it. Your tarot readings are always pulling from there. Always pulling from the personal shadow. Well, I suppose that is fundamentally why we engage with these different tools, these geomancy tools, in order to be able to recognize inner currents. And yeah, Howard, you had a crazy experience last night. Man, the moon has been quite the moon has taken a chill. But since the moon has taken a chill, there's just so much energetic shifting around at the moment. I think it's got a lot to do with, Venus coming out of retrograde, and Uranus has moved into its place. Where's Uranus sitting now? Is it sitting in Taurus? There's a lot of big players that have sort of been reorganizing themselves, and we're all feeling these currents. That's an interesting perspective as well, understanding the archetypes that structure us and that give shape to the personality that we operate through is also really fundamentally important when we're looking at working with the shadow, because it is the key, know thyself. And know thyself is fundamental. Somebody was asking me in a astral projection group recently, they were asking me, like, what can they do to ensure that they don't get, enticed by dark entities and presences and, energies and beings and consciousness that would have a detrimental effect. We're talking about antagonism. And my answer was quite clear. It was like, well, to be with integrity, to be authentic, to strive to be yourself all the time, to be honest, to live by a code of ethics and honor, and to strive to be a better person. And this is something that we should always be doing. And the problem with the shadow self is it will tell us that we're doing these things when we aren't. And so we can become like perfect little hypocrites who, sit on our little high throne of I'm the best thing. I'm perfect. But actually, when we're not, when we're completely disconnected. And I think this is like really important for us to be able to recognize this, because it does sort of leave us with a situation to be able to embrace who we are. And sometimes we might find that there's this part of ourselves that's basically running away from ourselves, and that part of ourselves is really why we behave the way we do. And it's a slippery slide towards becoming a narcissist or a sociopath, and it starts with hypocrisy. And so we've all got to sort of guard ourselves, especially in this day and age, in the world the way it is, because it's so easy to slip off. Like, we need to evaluate ourselves continually and keep track and be honest with ourselves and realize when we make mistakes, because we do make mistakes, and it's part of being human. So I think this acceptance that we're looking for is really fundamental to the work. So yeah, I hope you guys will be joining me. I tried to make this a short one. It was going to be a 15-minute. It ended up being a 27-minute, because once I get going, I'm like a machine. But I'm sending you all big love, big blessings, peace, honor, and respect. When the stream does end, do let me know what time zones you're in the comments after the live chat. And yeah, exactly, Howard. Exactly. That's what it comes down to. And Scorpio is alive. Oof, tell me about it. My North Node is in Scorpio. I feel that energy, that intensity. And obviously Pluto and Mars are working through that little domain. So there's something there. So yeah, sending you all big love, big blessings, peace, honor, and respect. Let me know if you're interested in the comments after the show, and what time zone you're in. Otherwise, take it easy. As soon as the show ends, just wait a few seconds and refresh the tab, and you'll be able to make comments. Also, like and share this if you would. That would mean the world to me. And take it easy. Don't forget to smile. Smiling empowers the heart, empowers the sense of self to be in the sphere of joviality. And in that sphere of joviality, we do not become buckled down by triviality. So we're able to experience the shadow with a lighter heart. I think that's the key. Om Shanti, big love, big blessings. Take it easy, everybody. And don't forget to smile, because life is just too short not to smile.